Yeah, so the TYT stuff, I don't have a real thing prepared yet. I'm working on a detailed and clear and non-biased, or cutting out all the bullshit, the opinion stuff, the montages where Cenk says over and over and over that people should get paid family leave or sick days or health insurance. Not going to include any of that. I might make a comment on it. It's impossible, but just showing the paperwork and some of the hours and stuff. I can't show everything. I don't think. I got to be a little bit careful. I'm not quite sure how to do this. I've never done this before. This is all new to me. But I did hear some of the comments on the YouTube comment, or the last one, that like just show the information and don't do. I get that. And then that clip was from the podcast, and I tend to just like let it rip when I talk. So that's sort of, I can understand why, given the nature of this information, it's probably a turnoff to a lot of people. It's not like I have a foundation of an audience that really understands my deal or knows me. So someone seeing this for the first time, they're going to catch my whole sort of emotive outward presentation and kind of confrontational, antagonistic posture that I've adopted here. And then that's can contribute to why they might be dismissive. But it did seem some people were also like, well, that looks like misclassification. That seems like you should report that. And I was like, believe me, I've looked into that. So like there was a lot of the comments were validating, but also I agree with the criticism that, or with the suggestion, maybe we could say that a more like a less just the information, just the facts. So I'm working on getting that, putting that out and sharing a lot more. That said, TYT or because I know I'm telling the truth. I know the experience that I was under. I know why I wanted to unionize. I know that being labeled an independent contractor, in order to get the job, I had to sign an independent contractor agreement. Here's the three classifications, and then having my classification changed to two different other classes. So 3 total classifications over time, none of which was ever on full parity with the other employees with whom I did the exact same job. I know how it felt to go through all that. I know what it felt like to take a day off after I'd been working full-time hours, 40 plus hours a week, not getting paid for holidays, not getting paid for days off, not receiving health insurance. I know what all that felt like, but I'm trying to convey it through what I'm doing with all this. And I'm trying to call Cenk out. And I want people to join me in calling on them to not just address this behavior, but correct the lie that they told about the union, how the union started. Cenk said that as my documentary, Tell the Truth, Cenk, illustrates, very detailed. I've worked on it for years, so I've done a lot of research. I was there. That Nancy Pelosi, in order to hurt his campaign, started this union.
February 21st, 2020. The first salvo was launched by the company account in the final sentence of their deceitful statement. The fact that IATSE has failed to respond to TYT, instead opting to issue misleading statements, suggests there are other motives at play. Other motives at play? What could that mean? Having been laid off a month prior, and because I refused to sign the massive NDA upon which my severance was contingent, I laid out a worker's perspective. Unlike TYT, I told the truth. But I have no reach. I'm just a feeble redshirt compared to the stars of this story. Cenk beams in to spread the lie at 12:15 p.m. First, he denies that they had refused voluntary recognition, which is a flat-out lie. He then points out that IATSE had endorsed Christy Smith in this race, insinuating that TYT Union was a puppet regime of the establishment forces arrayed against him. More
bullshit.
He adds another insinuation of conspiracy by suggesting the timing of IATSE's tweet was suspect because it occurred on the day of the California 25 candidate forum, scheduled for that night.
Yes, 20 years ago I used to be a Republican.
How IATSE endorsing Smith means TYT workers don't deserve a union is beyond comprehension. To outsiders, though, it's enough of a foothold for the lie to find purchase. People trust him. Later during his lunch break, Cenk answers a Smith tweet armed with sarcasm. Oh, look, in a totally uncoordinated way, I'm sure. Blabbity, 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 so genuine. In case you don't speak sarcasm, he's suggesting IATSE was coordinating with his political rival because his political rival pointed out her political rival's union busting. Look, Smith is as much a corrupt corporate demon as the rest of them, but of course she would try to capitalize on an opponent's own goal. She'd be a fool not to, and she owes Cenk a big thank you card for the gift of becoming a hypocrite union buster. At 12:54 p.m., Anna enters the fray, saying she felt extremely uncomfortable with IATSE endorsing Smith. 3 minutes later, in a tweet that is shockingly not deleted, she questions the motives of the union and plants the dagger of suspicion. While I'm personally supportive of unions, that's not a good start. This feels like it's done in bad faith. She finishes by calling the situation extremely suspicious. Bad faith? Suspicious? Huh? What? Okay, what? Later that night, during the candidate forum, she goes after IATSE 3 times for endorsing Smith. Had workers at her company, the very people on whose time, talent, and labor her career is built, not been attempting to join IATSE, it's unlikely she would have targeted IATSE during the forum. They were in her sights because she was on Team Cenk. She then tweeted erroneous information about the union claiming to represent a majority of workers, which was not at all true. Producers were not in the bargaining unit, nor were hosts. Although, unionizing the rest of the Young Turks staff is a great idea since everyone deserves a voice in their workplace, especially when the boss is a known union buster. As a worker, the following Monday, the company posted a 10-tweet screed hyper-focused on IATSE. It starts with the carefully worded and probably expensive deception that you've already seen, saying TYT voluntarily agreed to recognize the union. It's the same BS from their first message in which they offered and were prepared, but this time they say they agreed, all indicating that it hasn't happened. For those in the back, being prepared to do something is not the same as doing something. This misleading language is designed to obscure the fact that they had refused voluntary recognition. Actual voluntary recognition marks the start of the negotiation phase, but TYT refused to negotiate because they refused to recognize, insisting instead on a new election at a later date, buying themselves time during which management would employ the array of coercive and deceptive union busting techniques. Delay is an extremely common union busting tactic. This guy here, Martin J. Levitt, he was a professional union buster for 30 years, but his conscience finally caught up to him for all the damage he did.
Everything. Delay was one of my favorite tactics. It wears you down, it frustrates you. It lays the climate for the divisiveness. It frustrates people. It's, well, what good is our union? We've been trying to accomplish this for 2 years now and nothing's happened. It gives the employee relations function of the company the tools that they need to sell themselves as the real solution for the pilots or for the union members, as opposed to the union.
The thread paints TYT as IATSE's victim and finishes with a blast of paranoid nonsense, suggesting that not agreeing to TYT's demands would be proof that no employee supported the union, and that the whole thing was actually a ploy to intimidate us and the people who work at TYT.
So he was using that as a cover to prevent people from learning this stuff about what really started the union. In fact, this is not the full story. There's other wings to this haunted mansion that I am inviting you into my wing, but I can't let you into the other wings. It's not my story to tell. So it's not the entire story, but this was a huge core part of why the union started. It's not because we all got tricked by Pelosi's minions and were talked into starting a union at the Young Turks after our boss decided to become a politician. And that's the narrative that Cenk wants his audience to believe, and I want his audience to believe the truth. So, I guess just to say, I agree that like presenting the information in a clear and direct format will probably help me jump past some of the barriers it takes for people to perceive me as credible. Because I get it. I'm kind of a crank. I totally understand. I totally get it. I feel the same way. You know how much I have to de-crank myself just to function in this fucking planet that my parents trapped me on? See? I'm willing to call my parents for having me. God damn it, legalize abortion. I wish it was legal in the late 70s. Was it? Probably. Not really. Sort of. Maybe. Who knows? Who can tell? Yes, I ended that with saying I wish I was aborted. Exactly. This is the problem I'm having. Oh, geez, this guy. Maybe he deserved to have his pay kept by the millionaires. Maybe those millionaires that run that company deserve to keep the guy's money because he's kind of weird. Maybe that's the case. But no. Anyway, but the overall point too is like this article is about, it's all available. By the way, I should say the site, obviously links are in the description, but baldontheinside.substack.com. The point is though, why did we start the union? Why did I want to start the union? Why did I feel like I needed collective bargaining at the Young Turks? It's because I didn't have health insurance. I didn't have paid days off. I didn't have paid personal days, paid holidays. I didn't have bonus. I didn't have any benefits under the first classification. The second classification, I was also excluded from those things, except there was a little bit of nuance with some sick accrual. I was looking at the payroll records but that was zeroed out, whatever accrual that was, because I was classified. I should have been an employee. I should have been an employee the moment that I replaced an employee's job and then worked alongside other people who were employees. Imagine you're at your favorite grocery store. You see all the checkout counters. You look down the line, you see 8 employees, and someone comes up and says, well, one of those is actually classified as an independent contractor. You're like, well, it looks like they're doing the same thing. Well, they wanted the job. They were desperate. They needed the work. And so they're an independent contractor. And then you say something to the manager, oh, man, that's fucked up. Maybe fix that or maybe change. What the hell? After 8 months. And then they say, okay, we'll change it. We'll change it. We'll call them an employee. So these second two classifications are technically employee classifications, but they're not full-time regular employee classifications. And it took me 12 months to get to the third one. Right. So, okay, we'll take that. We'll, instead of calling that bagger an independent contractor, we'll call them a part-time temporary worker. And one of the things I'm going to show, I might even edit it on screen here now that I'm saying it, speaking a note to myself in the future, because I'm going to edit this. I have a very detailed, like, sourced from my invoices and from the payroll records, but it's very detailed about the hours that I worked, whether I worked part-time hours or whether I was working full-time hours or not. And I was. TYT's threshold for part-time is 30 hours, as it says in one of the letter or email to me inviting me to be hired, the one that which was only triggered because I had a meeting with them after about 7.5 months of working full-time hours. I said, I'd like to be considered an employee, please. So they invited me to become a part-time temporary employee. Yet I wasn't working part-time hours during that time either. So might have been a week or two in there, but anyway, the sheet is very detailed, and it's also normalized the hours for like weeks where there's only 4 working days. You know what I mean? So you can't just say like, oh, I only worked 30 hours this week because it's like, yeah, because it was only 4 days of work or something like, you know what I'm saying? So it's good to be very clear about that. I was not a part-time worker. It was not temporary either. And then in the third classification, I did get almost all benefits except my PTO accrual was less. For some reason, they still couldn't just give me the same label as the others. And so that's the wrapper of this whole thing is that from the first day I started working in October of 2018, I was functioning as an employee the entire time. and the person whose job I took, like that position was open, that's why they needed somebody, person was an employee. I have a statement from that person. And we started a union to deal with this problem, among other reasons. So I have proof for everything. But I'm terrified. Honestly, I'm super worried and nervous that I'm going to somehow get sued. I don't think they'll want to, by the way, 2x2's lawyers, if you're watching, put a couple extra hours in it. They're not going to check it. Just bill it. Just do it. Come on. What did you become an evil scum-sucking lawyer for? Do it. Rip them off. I'm just assuming that they're always watching. Yeah. So it's nerve-wracking to do this. I didn't have to. I often wish I had chosen to just shut the hell up about it and keep it quiet, but I made the kind of conscious decision that it would eat me alive inside if honestly, this sentence feels a little cringy and cheesy, to be straight up, but it's also the truth, man. It's like, I thought I was moving across the country to join somebody's movement who was very loud about injustice. And I would have been quiet about it. I mean, it's not like that. It's not like I was just like one little slight or low pay, because I was making $21.63 an hour while an independent during this entire time. But like I was paid less than every other editor there. That's very cheap video editing, especially for the goddamn great video editing I provide. But like, okay, fine. Low pay, work's not all that great, but that's everybody's job. I wouldn't have been out there making a stink about it. It's because there were some huge ethical boundaries crossed. That's the stuff that I'm kind of going on about, which I say deep down in here somewhere. So yeah, this is sort of some of the independent contractor things. So like, Cenk is a guy who will scream and yell. See, I can't help myself. I cannot help myself. Let's get into it. Here's, here he is saying,
as a new study just showed, we can save 68,000 lives a year if we do Medicare for all. Nothing else is universal health care. That's a giant difference. We've got to get the money out of politics.
Time's up. Gotta save lives. Not having health insurance can kill you.
If you don't have good health care, you die.
The man says, where is it? So big. It's so big and dumb that I made it this long. Who the hell's going to read all this bullshit? I do like the fish guy. I like the fish guy from Star Wars saying it's a trap. Who doesn't love that? Oh yeah, here we go. Here's Cenk going on about, this one's not that long, about paid leave and sick pay and the injustice of a worker not receiving what he thinks they deserve. What he tells the camera he thinks they deserve.
They say that you should not be able to take one day off if you're a working class man in America. Now you get all that BS mythology fables about, I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania, I'm regular Joe. Regular Joe stands up for a guy who can't take a single goddamn day off. He doesn't want the paid sick leave. Not giving you paid sick leave saves them money.
Saves them money. There's more to that, but yet we scroll all the way up to the independent contractor agreement up here, and we see no benefits, nothing. Fuck you. Get to work. So, does he really believe it? I think a person's action says a lot more about who they are than the words that they use, and the way they treat someone with less power, someone they're hiring. That imbalance in power it falls under that. What he tells the camera is not not how he operates his business. This went on for a long time, and I was working full fucking time hours. So yeah. But again, just to wrap it up, I do agree. Like to get this information out there, I should do it in a way where I'm not just like flaring off with all my heavy emotions and stuff. One of which is, honestly, I just need a good cry. I'd like to just cry for like 10 days, something. Just sob and weep and feel sad. I feel like I'm so nervous system overloaded, and I deal with that all the time, every day. It's constantly just like, I just can't do it. I can't. Oh my God, I can't. Like my brain is shutting down. So yeah. All right. Okay. Fuck. God, I've already gone away not too long. There's a cat in the shot. The cat's behind me. Did she get up? Oh, good. She's still sleeping. Hopefully she moves around a little bit. Get that watch time. Okay. Get that watch time. Okay. Like and subscribe. Check out the piece coming up soon. I think I'm going to read this whole thing. That might be something. I do like this part here. This email from Cenk where he worried about his reputation and being known as a boss who treats his employees poorly. Something I'm going to put in the film is this whole line up here. And it's actually already in Tell the Truth, Cenk. It's near the end of the second big chunk about this sentence here. No one ever raised a single issue, and then we were suddenly engaged in some sort of trench warfare as if we're evil management that deprives their employees of the basics.
My hope was that, thanks to the union, to collective bargaining, to the solidarity of my friends, that I'd have the leverage I needed for a few dollars more an hour, paid days off, and health insurance, which I intended to use for therapy and maybe have my butthole checked for prostates. I had no expectation of saving for retirement, building wealth, buying a place of my own, or affording a vacation that wasn't home to my parents. None of that. I felt a kind of shameful pride when a few months in, I was able to buy new shoes as I'd worn out my previous pair doing deliveries. I just needed the basics so the feeling of drowning might subside and I could stand a little firmer in order to keep Cenk's boot print on my back. I just wanted to be elevated to the same level of disrespect everyone else received. I mean, everyone maybe. I'm not, who knows?
No one ever raised a single issue. Look at this. Look at this, an email from someone raising issues. Hey, can you pay me? Can I get paid for the work I did? I wrote, excluding me. I literally wrote this. I wrote, I received no payment for any of that time, including, this is the third hiring 12 months after working full time. They're finally going to give me benefits, almost to the point that the others got it. I said, I received no payment for any of that time, including Labor Day, and feel that since I did a comparable amount of work as those who did get paid for time off, it would be appropriate to compensate me for time off. Excluding me from that benefit, despite working 40-hour weeks, makes no sense and is unfair. In the part 2 of this email, I was wondering, they said they were going to prorate my participation in a compensation plan. And I was like, so which hiring date are we prorating from? Are we doing this one? Are we doing the other hiring date? Or are we doing the first hire? Which of the 3 hiring dates? It's such bullshit. I should have been an employee from the beginning. I should have gotten benefits from the beginning. And I would have been okay with not getting benefits for a month or 2. You know, if it was a trial period, I'm not going to write an article about that. That would have sucked. That would have been wrong, but that would have also been one of those skeletons we could have kept buried. But no, this guy here writes that no one raised an issue. As if we're evil management that deprives employees of the basics. Gosh, why would someone who's deprived of the basics want a union? He says they don't deprive anybody of the basics. Really? Really? Working full-time video editing alongside others who were classified differently, who got benefits. Does this look like the basics? So, but yeah, I got to do like a sterile version of this because I know people, adding my kind of emotional sort of writer, the biases that are kind of built into that are all, that could be off-putting for people. I know I know it's about making like people, I don't even say people are defensive, but like just sort of like there's kind of a thresholds that I have to cross as somebody who's introducing myself for the first time to a lot of people. So I get it. I think that's actually fair. But yeah, this one's just funny to me. Boss who treats this. Oh, sorry, I can't stop. But here at the bottom, this third paragraph, before IATSE came in, I think we used to have a great relationship with everyone at the company, but maybe I am Michael Scott. Yeah, that's a good comparison to the guy that's famously known as a shitty boss. But he's got the charming fun of a professional comedian guy named Steve Carell, who is just a likable dude. Why would you pick that? Like he was duped. I thought we were friends and family. But you never saw it that way. Now, here's the part. I'm hoping that isn't the case, that some folks got you to believe. That line right there, that some folks got you to believe. I think that reveals a lot about what Cenk felt happened, or what he told his audience. And if he sincerely believed that, he could even include that when he comes out and finally addresses this. I believed that they were tricked, but he has to prove that he has to explain why me coming out in the first day that the union busting was public on, there was all kinds of reasons why that story was bullshit, is what I'm saying. But so either he thinks we were in on it, that we wanted to harm his campaign by forming a union, which is insane. By the way, the union, if he had just accepted it through voluntary recognition, he'd still be able to brag about it. It'd still be a bright spot in his career. So stupid. But so, yeah, I think this kind of gives away, what is happening yet? It's just, I can't scroll it for the way it's framed up there. That some folks got you to believe. So he's even in the union busting emails that he sent, this is what he sent before the final, the second election that the workers had to do, that they were manipulated, that we, because this would include me. I was part of the origination. I wasn't there for the union busting because I got laid off, but I was very much part of the origination of it. That's what this whole thing is about. But that some folks got you to believe that we were somehow duped, that our moronic brains were manipulated into this, that being adversarial with management is the right thing to do. No, maybe what the right thing to do was to stand up for each other, because especially in one person's case, mine, I deserve to go to a doctor and I deserve to have paid days off. And we thought we saw an injustice that we wanted to fix. Not that adversarial with management is that we were tricked into thinking that it's the right thing to do. Cenk is always talking about standing up for yourself, standing up against the powers that be, speaking truth to power. And that's exactly what we did. We lived the principles that his audience thinks they pay for, and he lied to his audience because he's afraid that they'll learn the kind of person he is, that he's a boss who treats his workers poorly. If that's the case and you want to continue fighting me and TYT out of principle, yes, you should fight over your principles, because the principles that Cenk gives his audience are different than the ones that are contained in the contracts that he makes people sign, so that he can keep money that they earned when they take vacations and when they take days off. The money that I didn't get paid, that I earned, still not in the correct bank account. So that's what you fight over, principles. It's just amazing. So yeah, okay, final comment here. This is another revealing statement here. If you think I won't give you a union, first of all, what was the commas? Come on, what's with these weird commas? You're wrong. All you have to do is vote. So his belief is still that it's up to him. That's the thing I think this guy doesn't get, because he's a, control based. I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. If you think I won't give you a union, you've already rejected it. You hire union busting law firms. You lied about us to the audience. You've been doing classic union busting tactics. Why would they think you want to give them a union? But the point is, the right to assembly, the freedom of assembly, is a fundamental, constitutionally protected right, which is what underpins collective bargaining. You want to live in a world where the powers that be say that you're not allowed to assemble into a group? What kind of totalitarian society would that be? It's a fundamental thing. And it's not up to them. It's not up to you. It's not, I won't give you a union, as if he's the final arbiter on it. It would have been interesting if he kept fighting it even after that. But that's where the governmental regulations come in. And that's where the appointments of whether or not it's a Republican or a Democratic appointee inside the administrative apparatus can have a major difference on the person, on the type of people who operate these governmental entities. But yeah, this sentence always jumped out at me too. All right, Jace. Yeah, obviously I got a lot on my head about a whole story. So there's a ton more to say. Hopefully I'll reach a bigger audience, and someday I'd like to see this story covered by those progressive outlets that were part of the documentary, the ones that are in it, the ones that are covering Cenk's campaign. It's an interesting thing that there hasn't been any. I know the world's filled with all kinds of far more chaotic and important stories. I understand that in that sense. I get this is not the most important deal, but Yeah, I think if I just keep kind of squeaking my wheel, take care of my brain, take care of my health so that I can function during the days when I need to. I'm got to edit this goddamn thing now. I do like watching it though. I watch myself and I go, I think it's pretty funny. I don't know if the wooden fruit thing is going to work. And then I watch it and go, you know what? That wooden fruit thing worked really well. Really did. You can get plastic fruit, but it's not as fun as wooden fruit for obvious reasons. So hopefully someday more people will learn and we'll get the truth. But yeah, I'm probably my own worst enemy and all that. So there's these 4 articles if you're curious. If you don't want to just read my bullshit. I'm quoted a bunch in this one, in the Kim Kelly one here in the New Republic. But yep, they're all good. They're all worth reading. And they're all like properly researched. Like there's these, that's why they're worth their sources, because like the TYT hasn't contested any of the details in any of these articles. They interviewed workers. One of them interviewed me. And I think Cenk is quoted in at least 2 of them, I'm pretty sure. But for sure in this big one here, the April 10th, 2020 by Hank Thompson. And this guy's been getting a ton of stuff regarding Trump. I've been seeing him a bunch, turning up with reporting and whatever. So there we go. That's it.